Remote sensing is the acquisition of information about an object or phenomenon without making physical contact with the object. In modern usage, the term generally refers to the use of aerial sensor technologies to detect and classify objects on Earth on both the surface as well as in the atmosphere and oceans by means of propagating signals.
Remote sensing also replaces costly and slow data collection on the ground, ensuring in the process that areas or objects are not disturbed. Other uses include natural resource management, agricultural land usage, and national security issues.
Remote sensing makes it possible to collect data on dangerous or inaccessible areas. Remote sensing applications include monitoring deforestation in areas such as the Amazon basin, glacial features in the Arctic and Antarctic regions, and depth sounding of coastal and ocean depths. Military collection during the Cold War made use of standoff collection of data around dangerous border areas.
The modern discipline of remote sensing was made possible by the development of flight. The balloonist Nader made photographs of Paris from his balloon in 1858. Messenger pigeons, kites, rockets, and unmanned balloons were platforms used for early images. With the exception of images captured on balloons, the images taken were not particularly useful for map making or for scientific purposes. Systematic aerial photography was developed for military surveillance and reconnaissance purposes beginning in World War I and reaching a climax during the Cold War. The development of artificial satellites in the later half of the 20th century allowed remote sensing to progress to a global scale as the end of the Cold War.
In general, remote sensing includes passive and active sensors. Passive sensors record electromagnetic radiation that is reflected or emitted from the surface of the Earth. Some major types of passive sensors include film cameras, digital cameras, scanners, and arrays. A platform is the object upon which the sensor is mounted. It is used to navigate the sensor to appropriate places. Common platforms include satellites, airplanes, balloons, blimps, and cranes. Electromagnetic radiation, or also known as EMR, is a type of energy that can be emitted or absorbed by particles, and these particles have a wave-like behavior while traveling in space. A main source of EMR is the sun. When EMR interacts with an object, it can be absorbed, transmitted, or reflected. A band is a range within the electromagnetic spectrum, and it can include multiple bands and thermal single bands. Typically, we use multiple bands since it can help to add color to the brightness values when combinations of bands are added together. Brightness is the measurement of sense data that is recorded in a single band. The number of brightness values range from 0 to 255, ranging in corresponding colors from black and white.
Active remote sensing is the process of actively emitting electromagnetic energy over an area, then collecting the energy that is reflected from objects in that area. Active remote sensing techniques are important for monitoring areas that are inaccessible with normal passive remote sensing systems, such as rainforests that have constant cloud cover. Also, since these systems send out their own energy and do not rely on the sun's emitted radiation, active remote sensing systems can be used at night. Radar, LiDAR, and sonar are the main types of active remote sensing systems used today. Radar is an acronym for radio detection and ranging, but today radar systems emit long wavelength microwave energy to sense objects in an environment. Large-scale weather mapping uses radar to track clouds and storm fronts, and local law enforcement officers use radar to monitor speed limits. Radar has been used to locate hidden archaeological data and ancient riverbeds in large deserts that have been buried by sand, and are therefore invisible on normal images that only capture the surface layer of the area.
LiDAR, which stands for Light Detection and Ranging, is an optical remote sensing system that emits light rays or lasers to illuminate targets, then measures the reflected energy. LiDAR systems are commonly used for weapons ranging and other military applications, as well as vegetation remote sensing and high-resolution imaging. Sonar is also a type of active remote sensing that emits sound waves underwater and records the speed and intensity of the sound waves as they are reflected off objects in the water. Ships use sonar to map the seafloor and determine water depth at sea.